Take South Africa's public broadcaster as a case in point, where advertising revenue declined by 11% from 2019, or global newspaper revenue that's estimated to have suffered $30 billion losses over the last year alone, with growing concerns that the pandemic could become a media extinction event.
The pandemic has had another very dangerous side effect. It has accelerated the financial decline of many public interest media organizations. We cannot afford to let this happen. Maintaining independent, fact-based reporting is an essential global public good, critical to building a safer, healthier and greener future. Without urgent action by the international community, we could be left with irrevocable damage to our societies and irreparable threats to the Sustainable Development Goals.
Add to declining revenue streams the surge in misinformation and its proliferation on social media platforms has often put credible news organizations where facts and truth still matter on the back foot.
The COVID-19 pandemic has been accompanied by an enormous concurrent infodemic. Misinformation and hate speech have proliferated, jeopardizing the health of millions of people worldwide, undermining confidence in vaccines and science, and dividing communities and countries.
A recent study by the International Center for Journalists and Columbia University found that journalists were faced with a barrage of misinformation while confronting the real-life consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic, heightened security concerns in addition to their own job security. The study surveyed 14,000 journalists and news managers in 125 countries.
We saw the effects of COVID financially, because I think about 43% said that revenue had dropped between 50 and 75%, which is a huge amount. Many of the news organizations cut their budgets, cut staff, and clearly the journalists were feeling the impact. About 20-some% said that their salaries were cut, and 65% said that they felt less secure in their jobs. So it was very clear that on the financial end, this was having a devastating impact.
COVID merely accelerated the trend of decline in many media organizations, coupled with the mental toll. Just imagine for a moment what it must be like for a journalist covering the traumatic catastrophe unfolding in New Delhi, India right now.
70% said that the psychological and emotional impacts of dealing with the COVID crisis was the most difficult aspect of their work. A lot of them, I think about a third, said that their news organizations had not supplied them with any kind of protective gear. And so here they are in a very vulnerable situation, trying to go out there and cover this without any protective gear, and not knowing what the impact would be on their lives, on their families, and the like.
This Filipino-American investigative journalist who recently scooped the UNESCO Press Freedom Award was unambiguous that current news business models were dead, with Facebook, and not the New York Times or the China Daily, the largest distributor of news in the world today.
I think this is the time that allows us to, it's truly creative destruction. It allows us to create what needs to replace the rubble that was there. We need to act like an atom bomb exploded in our information ecosystem. Just like we did after World War II. The UN was formed after World War II to prevent humanity from doing its worst, from doing our worst to ourselves. I think that's one of these moments.
Sobering words amidst a shifting landscape where those fastest to adapt today will stand a better chance of survival tomorrow. Sherwin, Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.